Welcome back to Marketing for Your Future on Daily Ad Brief. I'm your host, Mike White, and on Marketing for Your Future, we're meeting with experts in the industry talking about the tips, tricks, trends, and technologies they use to build their campaigns. Join us today from Las Vegas. We have Glenn Rubenstein with Adopter Media. Glenn, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, quick question. Does anybody listen to podcasts?
It's crazy. You look at the stats and the year-over-year growth. I have been in this space now for 11 years. Every year, just on a pure ad revenue side, I say, there's no way it can get crazier and bigger than this. And yet somehow, year after year, we are just growing explosively. It's really insane.
Tell me about what services your company provides and who you provide them to.
So Adopter Media is a full-service podcast advertising agency. We work exclusively in the realm of podcasts. Now, there is a little bit of an overlap naturally with YouTube there as well. We place about $20 million annually on behalf of 24 brands to plan, manage, execute, and optimize their podcast ad campaigns. Everything from the show selection process, the copy, the onboarding, and the reporting. We really take care of that, bring brands into this space, and help them scale.
So what's the biggest challenge that you've had in scaling the company over the past 10 years?
I think the biggest challenge in this industry is that it is still a relatively new industry, and there are not a lot of people who have experience and really understand what makes podcasting so special. It's a bit hokey to say, but it is a very intimate medium and one that is driven largely by engagement. And so while it would be great if there are ways we could automate and use programmatic technologies and find ways to just sort of, one-click done deployment, that would be fantastic. But this is still largely a medium based on relationships between the advertiser and agency and the networks and the podcasters, and of course, most importantly, the podcasters with their audience. And I think that that's something that we haven't been able to automate to a level where it's easy for anyone. It does take work, but for brands that make that investment and really go about doing this in the right way, it can be quite lucrative.
What is, or how important to the advertisers is attribution when it comes to podcast advertising?
Attribution is exceptionally important, and I think that we see a variety of means by which advertisers go about tracking that, particularly on the direct response side. We've all heard the promo codes, the URLs, the special offers when you use our discount code. That old school approach still does work, but there have been newer technologies like Podsights and Chartable that have added additional attribution layers into the mix to where we can pixel the podcast, put some code on an advertiser website, and sync up the listener to customer journey without having to rely on any special code or URL whatsoever. So on the direct response side, like, attribution has been key. And then additionally, figuring out what that multiplier is, because one thing you see when you start to get in these more advanced analytics is that, one, the majority of consumers will actually Google your product rather than go to a special URL or landing page. And then two, you are still getting that brand awareness halo. I mean, you can't look at a brand like a Squarespace or a ZipRecruiter or a Blue Apron or a MeUndies and say that they did not build their brand awareness through podcast advertising, even with direct response ads. So you need to kind of figure out sort of that top of funnel quantization of what impact is this having on the bottom of funnel conversions.
Speaking of conversions, where are people pulling from to convert advertising dollars to switch from what over into podcast advertising?
Traditionally, we've seen radio. There's been an exodus from radio, given some of the less desirable audience demographics, purchasing power, changing listening habits. We've seen a lot from radio come over to podcasts, but then in particular, in the last year, we've seen a huge influx of cash coming from people pulling out of Facebook and other social channels that are looking for something that's a little more bespoke, a little more hands-on, and that is going to get them real engagement at scale.
So finish this sentence. In 2 years, Adopter Media will blank.
In 2 years, Adopter Media will continue to be at the forefront of podcast advertising and helping shape its evolution. We are seeing right now a sea change in the industry, and almost it's splintering off into two separate industries. One that is doing things the old-fashioned way, the tried and true way, and another that is trying to automate and do things in a more one click at scale approach, dynamic, programmatic, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that what we are trying to do with Adopter Media is figure out a way to take advantage of what we can technology wise, but not lose that magic and spirit, the secret sauce of what makes this industry work so well.
So who is the one dream customer that you would love to pitch to?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think that we all want to see more brands come into the space and do more brand awareness advertising. But I have to say, the products that I'm most excited about, we have clients that we are very, very privileged to work with. And I'm excited about every single one of them because I think that what they're doing is unique, it's novel, and it's sticky. And that's a big key to what makes podcast advertising work, is you have a product that you want to tell people about, that you're excited to tell people about. And in turn, people that hear that ad turn around and tell their friends about it, and so on and so on. And so in my mind, it's not just about going for the biggest company or the biggest brands, it's going for the products that can actually provide the most value and benefit to consumers, because those are the ones that we've seen have just a huge shelf life in this space.
Glenn, you were an early adopter of podcasting, and it's obviously paid off. So congratulations on being a marketing champion.
Thank you so much.
To find out more about Adopter Media and all the amazing things that they could do to enhance your brand and get it out there, visit us at dailyadbrief.com. We'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.